Today is a very sad day because I've got to sell my car, and I really don't want to have to, but I'll talk about it in this video. It's just a really sad, sorry state of affairs. This is a 1989 Volkswagen Scirocco Mark II. It's a 1.8 automatic. Yeah, automatic. It was the only one that was available at the time, but I bought it in the same town that I am in about a year and a half ago. I bought it for 1,200 quid and it had a year's MOT. I figured, come on, why not? All in all, it was working pretty happy. It had all new brake hoses and brake pads done about a month before. I had to do the cam belt and water pump within the first week of owning it. And crazily enough, this 30-year-old car gave me a year and a half's worth of pretty much stress-free daily driving. My history with cars is reasonably limited, that being because I spent 10 years of my life in the middle of London as a struggling musician. So lo and behold, I didn't have a car for all that time. I sort of just rented out vans when I needed to go and play gigs, which in hindsight might have been a little bit more expensive than owning this thing. But around that time, I've only ever really owned bangers, and this is what I think driving is like for some reason. It's hardwired into me that the feeling of driving a long journey comes with the anxiety of, will the car get there? Basically, that has been in my mind since day one of driving. I've never had a reliable vehicle. Crazily enough, this is the most reliable car I have ever owned. And that is saying something. So the first car that I got was a 1982 1 litre Mini Clubman Estate in orange. And wow, that thing was awesome. It's absolutely eye-watering how much the value of those cars have gone up in the last 10 years. That car was awesome, but it needed constant work all the time. I'm lucky enough to have a hands-on DIY kind of dad, so he kind of showed us the ropes of like vehicle maintenance and fixing this thing, which I didn't do very well. He usually kind of finished the jobs for me, but you know, lo and behold, after practice, you start getting the hang of it. After that, for the first 2 years of being in London, I owned an LDV convoy, but it wasn't any LDV convoy. Oh no, it was a legit police riot van. Basically, the story goes is the band that I was in at the time, we're in the pub, and we just were like, should we see if there's any police riot vans for sale? Typed in police riot van on eBay, and a Doctor Who prop came up. And yeah, it was a fully fledged police riot van. We ended up winning it and going and checking it out. It had a TV prop registration plate in the window. Before it was a Doctor Who prop, it was in service in North Wales. One story with that was I was getting all of my music equipment out of the back, and the police cage shot on me, and I got locked inside it for a couple of hours. Obviously, when people were walking past, I was trying to say, can you please let me out of it? Can you just, you know, it looks a bit sketchy to them. Like, yeah, I was stuck there until one of my bandmates came and let me out. But lo and behold, with the introduction of the low emission zone in London, time was running out for that vehicle, and it sort of got sold on. And, you know, it was pretty sad to see the end of that, but it was an absolute handful. And then after that, I didn't have a vehicle for about 7 or 8 years until I finally got some sense about me and moved out of London. Best decision I've ever made. Now I spent £400 on a 1995 Volvo 740. That car was all right. It had 140k on the clock, and yeah, it lasted a year. But for 400 quid, it's not that bad. My car failed its MOT. That's really sad news. And then after that car came this one. Yeah, it's a bit disheveled. It's got a few dings and dents here and there. The bonnet looks like it's been stood on at some point and been open in the wind, and it looks like it's blown back on itself. But apart from that, I love this car. I've used it a lot in videos. For a small car, it's got a heck of a lot of storage space. And crazily enough, I've done about 10,000 miles in it. Even shot the last music video, Waiting for the World to End, with this car. Funnily enough, the back light was actually working. It was just sod's law that whenever you film something breaks. So we didn't realise that the light was off until after that. You know, can't just go back and shoot those shots again. And now it comes down to why I need to sell it and why I need to sell it in such a rush. And I gotta be honest, I'm pretty heartbroken with the situation. Basically, the MOT is up tomorrow. I fixed a couple of menial things to get it through, and then at the end of last week, all hell broke loose. Driving home at some point last week and something felt a bit wrong. I stopped, had a look, and it was pissing transmission fluid. I recently had the gasket on the transmission replaced because it was leaking a tiny little amount, and I figured it would be best just to sort it. But then this happened, and it kind of shows that it wasn't in the gasket. It was something above the gasket. This sort of left me in a bit of a predicament. I don't have a driveway or a garage. I've been looking around for trying to find somewhere to store it, and yeah, I've just not had much luck. It just seems that right now is just not the time to have a car that you can't have on the road. The other annoying thing is, this month, every morning I get up with a to-do list as long as your nana's nose hairs. So I just have no time at all to look at the car, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. So the problem is, I've got no garage, no driveway, no time, and nowhere to store it for a month or so. I had an MOT booked this week, but the fact is I'd have to trailer it there, trailer it back, and it just turns into quite a logistical nightmare. Don't get me wrong, if I had a driveway, I'd keep hold of this, wait till Christmas, pop a new gearbox on if I had to, and then, you know, happy days, but I just can't because I've got nowhere to put it. So unfortunately, somebody today is coming to pick it up, and I'm treating it as a sign of, you know, moving on, getting another car. The question is, do I break a tradition of driving stupid old bangers, or do I get a sensible car? I've never owned a sensible car, ever. My girlfriend is pretty set on me getting a sensible car, mainly because every time I go around a roundabout in winter in this car, there's a load of water that just comes out of the sunroof and falls on her, so she needs to wear a waterproof in the car. Oh, sorry, Mel. I just really don't want to have to drive a 10-year-old Skoda, and it's gonna happen. But yeah, that's a sad farewell to the Volkswagen Scirocco, but it's time to move on. The Volvo 850 turned out to be a little bit too far gone to justify bringing it back to life, so unfortunately it went to the scrap man. But I figured before it went to the scrap man, may as well make a sample pack from it. This sample pack never happened, but now it's available over on my Patron, so if you want some hitting sounds, some random car sounds and stuff like that, then it's available over there on my Patron. There's also another live stream modular mega mix coming up this week over on the Patron, and I'm working on a load of projects that are still not quite finished yet to do videos on. And if you want to see in-depth chats about the concept of these ideas and things like that, then there are vlogs available over on my Patreon as well. Thanks a lot. I've been Sam, Look Mum No Computer. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe and don't be scared to try it.